Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Words of the Wild, a podcast brought to you by the Scottish Wildlife Trust. My name is Ed and I will very briefly be your host for this episode. As part of our original series, we hosted 6 storytelling events at Scottish Wildlife Trust reserves across Scotland. The events were all absolutely fantastic and we had a brilliant time meeting lots of people and hearing lots of stories. But we ended up recording so many stories that we've decided to bring you 3 bonus episodes. In this episode, we are going to head over to Montrose Basin on the east coast of Scotland. The event over at Montrose was really fantastic, and a huge thank you to Joanna and Alison and the team over there for making the day so brilliant. As you'll hear, we were really lucky and we spotted a huge range of wildlife and there were some brilliant sightings on the day. Montrose Basin is an absolutely amazing spot and it's really worth a visit if you haven't been before. There's all sorts of wildlife over there, from osprey to kingfishers and tree sparrows through to water rail, so it's absolutely worth the visit. We hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Laura Young and I'm one of the young leaders with the Scottish Wildlife Trust.
Hi, I'm Joanna Peaker. I'm the Visitor Centre Site Manager at Montrose Basin.
Hi, I'm Alison O'Hara. I'm the lead teacher naturalist for the Scottish Wildlife Trust at Montrose Basin Visitor Centre.
So we're going to be walking out to the Shelduck Hide first. We're then going to walk onto the mudflats. We're not going to do the full walk out into the middle of the basin, which we do for different events. Yeah, so we will be on the mud. It's amazing being on the estuary itself and just having an uninterrupted view of the whole of the basin. So this is officially where the reserve begins. It's still farmland, and then the Scottish Wildlife Trust owns the mudflats. So there's lots of joint ownership with the Angus Council and National Trust for Scotland and Scottish Wildlife Trust, but we're walking out to the mudflats, which is what we own. But we help manage parts like the paths along this way as well. So and keep an eye out for brown hare. Quite often there's hare in the fields. We've got lots of skylarks singing. You can never see skylarks, basically, but you can always hear them. Yeah, it's fun when you actually spot it. I forgot my binoculars, so yeah. And there have been a few swifts flying over, but again, it might just be the same one circling around multiple times. So we're going right. It's the Widgeon Hide to the left. That's the hide that's on stilts. So it's good for, in the winter time when we have all the wading birds, it's where a lot of the wading birds roost at high tide. So we always recommend that one at high tide. Yeah. And then Shelduck Hide's good whenever. So there's a skylark. A visible skylark. There's another one.
Is that 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is that Montrose town over there?
Yeah. So it's so cool, like we're so low down. And actually, this farmland has a seawall that keeps the basin water out.
Yeah.
So there's some areas on the farmland where you're actually you feel like you're lower down than the basin itself, like the farmland is lower. And when you come here at high tide, you can see that the water's right up to the tip of the seawall. Osprey. There's an osprey hovering out that way. So there's a large bird of prey getting quite high up. Yeah, there it is.
Wow. Is that a quite distinct hover that it does?
Yeah, it's the way they hover over water bodies, but they also kind of dangle their legs at the same time. It's just a very specific kind of hover. So at the moment, if the osprey gets anywhere near the tern raft with the nesting common terns on it, all of the terns start going for the osprey. I feel quite bad for it.
They just recognise it as a predator.
Yeah.
They don't.
The osprey is like, I'm just getting a fish.
I'm just here for the fish. not going to eat you and the babies.
Here's a lapwing flying past as well.
So you want to have a look at the hide?
Yeah, shall we have a look in the hide while we're here?
Oh, wow. Okay. Pull up a pew. Right, what can we see?
Little ducklings there.
Some swans?
Oh yeah, there's merganser or goosander ducklings.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like. So when I started at the basin, I thought I would, like the day after doing my first day of volunteering, just look at the different walks so I knew where they all were. So I went to the lurgies, and then as soon as we got out of the car and went up the path, we were like, oh look, there's some otters playing in the river. It was so exciting. And then I came into work the next day and just said, oh, and that's so great, I saw the otters. And Alison was like, you what? That doesn't usually happen. Predated eider eggs.
Check all the way.
So hard.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one.
Oh yeah.
Eiders have only one form of defence.
Okay.
And they only dine on mussels. So when they are sitting on their nest and they're feeling threatened, they sort of cover up their nest, and then as they fly off, they squirt this like basically fermented mussel juice
Lovely.
over their eggs and in the eyes of the predator, hopefully,
Just
to protect their eggs.
Oh
But it's
gosh.
very, very smelly.
Yeah. Wow.
Because they haven't got off the nest and fed potentially for a few weeks. Mm-hmm. So that is all they've got. That's sort of
As a defence.
Yeah.
Another eider egg. So yeah, this is the current situation with the eiders, is that it's like there's less natural habitat where they would have always nested under the rose bushes and gorse bushes, because the river course has changed and then this habitat has changed a lot. And then that means that there's less nests, but then the same amount of predation, so the foxes are still, it's like they're more easily able to pick out the remaining nests. So we haven't seen an eider crash since pre-COVID anyway, on the basin. But maybe they'll discover a new place to nest and, you know.
There's pegs in the salt marsh, like wooden pegs, and Richard always says that's how they used to measure the movement of the salt marsh before technology got involved.
Just with pegs.
So yeah, sometimes he'll say when we're walking, watch out, it's a bit of a trip hazard, but that is actually evidence of how they used to measure the movement of the salt marsh. So we'll probably see some when we go round.
Yeah.
There's actually a painting in the art gallery in Aberdeen of this area and people living down here.
Is it?
Yeah, I've seen, yeah. I know it. It's really cool because it's quite unrecognisable. Like, where was that taken? And there's like people, like kids playing or like laundry washing. Yeah.
When it's not drying, it's working on a railway line. So here we are, on the edge of the mud.
On the edge of the mud, we made it. Yeah, don't stand still, but...
Well, he's back. That bit.
And the cool shells. It's so interesting. That's what I love about the mud walks.
Draining off of there.
Yeah,
So it keeps
but I was just so amazed when we did it with Richard last year, like how there's so many habitats even on the basin. You find like sand spits and shingle banks and then really muddy bits and then little seagrass meadows. And
So I guess that's one of the questions. What makes this place so special?
we've always wanted to say it's unique, but we can't say that because there are other locations in the world. But it's almost unique in the fact that it's such an enclosed intertidal estuary. Like, the tides coming in and out look more extreme because of how enclosed it is. And then that makes it really great for wildlife because there's so much food that washes in and out of the tide. With the tide, yeah. Would you add anything special about the basin, Alison?
It's just the best place. It's always changing. There's always something new to see. And that's probably why I've worked there for such a long time. It's just, there's days that are overcast, there's days that are wonderfully sunny, there's the tide coming and going. You think you've seen everything, and then the tide's higher than it's ever been, or it's lower than it's ever been in your mind. You see something you've never seen before. It attracts all kinds of wildlife. Yeah, it's just a fabulous place to work, hang out.
It's
go
one
for
of like
walks.
it's such a common comment from visitors at the centre when they see that we work there. They're like, "Wow, you're so lucky to work in this building," which we really are. And it's the fact that you can get distracted by the view because it's constantly changing, not only throughout the year but throughout the day. Because the tide's coming in, and then suddenly the seals have swum away. Or
And what are some of the coolest things you've seen? Or things that stick out?
I love it when we see spoonbill. We sort of get a visit once a year or every couple of years from a couple of spoonbill, and they're very cool to watch.
there was one year those spoonbills were around when the geese had just migrated in. So there's these really cool photos that a local photographer sent us of spoonbills with all the thousands of pink-footed geese in the background. And we're like, are those species supposed to meet? Are they looking at each other like, who are you? It was very cool.
There was the year that we had the bittern in the area in front of the visitor centre. I think that was 2016. And it was there in the winter. And we have some lovely footage of it basically ice skating across the pools. And it's sort of hunched way going along like this. But that was very cool. I'm not a birder. I hadn't realised how rare they were in Scotland, and so many people came to see it, but it was so difficult to see. It was so well camouflaged. But I was very lucky and I saw it loads because I was working at the visitor centre.
And then there's stuff that we see all the time that's special every time. So, I mean, we've seen an osprey today, but it's always exciting to see an osprey. And when you get to see them dive into the basin, it's just so magical. And then anything that visitors are excited to see, we're just really happy to be able to show them it. So that can be eider ducks, which we're so used to now, tree sparrows. And then we see kingfisher all the time in the autumn and winter from the visitor centre. So that's always super special, being able to show people their first kingfisher if they've never seen one before. It's great. And they're not even just zipping past. We're like, there it is, it's on a perch for you. You can set up the telescope on the kingfisher for them, and you're like, there you go. I've given you your kingfisher. This feels really nice.
Yeah, often people have say they've seen a kingfisher, but it was just a fleeting glimpse on a canal or something. And we're in a fortunate position to be able to say, you might be able to see one just here, and it'll just stay there for maybe an hour, just catching lots and lots of little fish, which is really lovely. So we wouldn't normally recommend people coming out on the mud. Certainly don't ever do it on your own. This obviously looked at a drier part than that bit that we just trailed through. Usually you can tell the really shiny mud tends to be the really sticky mud. I think back when Karen was a ranger, there was a chap from St Andrews University who did some research, and he just got stuck in the mud every time he came because he stood in it for too long looking at his samples, and then he would phone and say, I'm stuck again.
Come and rescue.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been studies on the mud, on the different creatures that you find in the mud, but nothing recent. So all the numbers that we've got are pretty old, but 360,000 hydrobia snails in a square metre of mud, which seems phenomenal, but that feeds all the shell duck.
Yeah.
They eat these minuscule snails, which are the kind that make these little pinprick holes. It would be spectacular if I found one straight away.
Is that swallows or sand martins?
Sand martins.
They're
See the wee white belly.
martins, yeah.
So that's interesting. This is where they're hanging out, not in our habitat.
They've been on the beach at North Montrose.
Yeah, they're all over the place, just not in our habitat.
Not in the
that we built.
the specially built San Martin nesting boxes.
How rude.
Fine, I know, but I'm glad they're happy elsewhere. That's
Tree
fine.
sparrow nest.
No.
So,
Yeah, never mind.
so there are specialist plants that grow on the mudflats. There's samphire, glasswort. Is that the same thing? So
I think it is. Yeah.
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
So and that's it there, and you can break that off, and it's just a salty. It seems to have reached like a
in
status. Yes,
expensive breakfast.
yes. So I'm not saying come out here and gather your own, but there it is.
Yeah.
That's it there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you can
wow.
snap it off. And I was a long time ago on a walk with Richard, and I did. He's like, yeah, you can eat it. Snap it. He's like, you don't see me eating it. Straight from the mud.
As long as you don't make a little bit.
But yeah, there's special.
That might be the samphire there, actually. Do you think?
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that's samphire.
mud plants.
And then the widgeon go for the seagrass
Yeah.
when they arrive with the geese in autumn. Yeah. And Richard always says they'll like exhaust the seagrass on the mud and then move into fields afterwards because they're like, oh well, I've eaten all.
Yeah.
Sort
And
of
it
by the
doesn't
end
grow
of
anymore in the winter.
so by the end of the time that they've spent in Scotland and they're going back up north, they've actually eaten most of their supply for the year. So
They know it's time to migrate because if I've run out of food, they're exhausted the really good stuff.
yeah.
That's what I do.
I'll just move on to somewhere new. Yeah. And we haven't talked much about the geese.
We haven't.
So the geese, the pink-footed geese were internationally important for pink-footed geese, and they arrive in mid-September, and we can get, by early October, up to 80,000 pink-footed geese on a fairly normal year. But that's a snapshot because they use us as a stop-off point as they head further down to Norfolk is where most of them end up. So we definitely get over 100,000 at least that pass through Montrose Basin on their migration from Iceland and Greenland. And then it's amazing because you get to watch them all take off at sunrise in the morning to feed in fields, and then they all come back en masse in the evenings at sunset. So that's magical.
And sometimes there's other geese mixed in with pink-footed geese.
Yeah, that's always exciting. So we do a few goose counts a year to get the number of geese and for the Icelandic breeding goose census. And then, yeah, there's the goose counters are always so excited when they're like, I just found a different goose, like a snow goose. There was a Ross's goose one year that was like a smaller white goose. And then sometimes the goose counters will find a white goose and think, oh, that's amazing, I found a snow goose. And it turns out to be a leucistic pink-footed goose, so just a pink-footed goose that has white feathers. So they're like, oh, which is still exciting. And there's actually one leucistic pink-footed goose that comes back most years. There's always one reported, so we reckon it's probably the same one that's just in with the same flock. And then, yeah, at that time of year, there would be loads of pink-footed goose feathers all out on the mudflats because they use it to roost on. So it changes the look of the basin as well, and the sound of it.